Hi, my newsfeed came up with an article the other day. The headline caught my attention. It read, "Nobody has ever been astonished by an apple. Sorry, Cézanne, but still lifes are dull as hell." We'll talk about clickbait for artists. So I read on. Newspaper articles with provocative headlines are usually written to provoke you. Surprise, surprise. And so it encouraged me to think a bit about the need to be contemporary in choice of subject when painting. The article covers various points, many of them good. But here's a quote to give you a flavour. If still life is a reflection of how we live, how come most contemporary still life says nothing of how we live now? And then, many artists are still producing jugs and bowls of fruit when the remnants of Deliveroo packaging or perhaps an air fryer might be more verisimilitudinous. Well, that seems reasonable enough. Shouldn't we want to be talking about contemporary subject matter rather than things representing a bygone day? But then I started to think about the assumption that artists have to stay in their lane and be relevant, to look to the present and never the past. Of course, the viewer is entitled to react to work as they see fit, but so is the artist entitled to paint what they want. You only need to read Shakespeare to see that human nature doesn't change. The same characters in his plays walk around us today, loving, hating, cheating and joking. Much the same goes for Jane Austen and the Bible. You will probably recognise this aphorism from Ecclesiastes, chapter 1, verse 9. What has been will be again. What has been done will be done again. There is nothing new under the sun. Good, eh? Is a subject from the past so very different to one from the present? Only when we perceive things through the eyes of fashion. In the 18th century, still life painting was seen as a lesser art. But that was in an age when history painting was seen as the highest form of art. This painting by Benjamin West, The Death of General Wolfe, from 1770, is an example of what was considered great art at the time. But it is probably less appealing to most people today. As I was saying, taste is subject to fashion, so styles of painting come and go. In the first half of the 18th century, Jean-Simenon Chardin painted still lifes that enabled people to view the genre in a new light. Chardin raised the status of still life, and because of this, his greatness was recognized even in his own time. It was possibly exceptionally brave of him to go against the tide of fashion, but although some of the jugs in his paintings seem to be of a dated style now, the feelings they evoke are timeless. As Mark Twain put it, "It was a brave man that first ate an oyster." I like that. We may wish to look forward, but we can't do so without reference to our past. Chardin paved the way for us to appreciate the ordinary in art. Many great artists since have painted still lifes that were wonderful and even deeply moving. Cézanne, Morandi, and Winifred Nicholson, to name a few. Many of these paintings are also timeless. They could be of flowers, jugs, or apples, but the real subject matter is about composition, colour, and even emotion. I often see them as forms of poetry. And Cézanne's apples tell us so much, particularly as artists. He uses them as a vehicle to open our eyes to the possibilities of what paintings can be, and for this reason he is the favourite painter of so many painters I know. In contrast to that, Jeff Koons, Christopher Wool and Banksy are three of the highest paid contemporary artists of our time, and they offer us a cul-de-sac. They don't really give you much you can carry forward into your own work. Could we not paint timeless things? Corot painted some astonishingly good paintings when in the first half of the 19th century he travelled to Italy. He drew and painted at various sites, including a first-century Claudian aqueduct, Castle Sant'Angelo, which was built in the 2nd century, and the Arch of Constantine and the Forum, which was founded in the 8th century BC, so subject matter more than 1800 years old. Of course, I know these paintings were done before the advent of photography and iPhone tourism, but they're not just tourist trophies. As paintings, they have stood the test of time. There are a number of critics who expect artists to make socio-political statements, much in the way that actors and rock stars like to give us the benefit of their wisdom.
Phone up and give us the money.
Of course, art allows for that, if that's your bag. But in the end, I've come to realise that I'm more content just to paint the world as I find it. The past entwined with the present. I feel that honesty in painting is timeless and connects our work to our own lives in a way that can't help but say something about ourselves. As a painter, I have often painted still lifes. I've even painted apples, God help me. This brings me to the story of the wide-mouthed frog. There once was a wide-mouthed frog who lived in a pond. One day he decided to venture forth to go and see the world. He leapt off through the grass until he came across a giraffe. So he asked him, "Who are you, and what do you eat for breakfast?" The giraffe looked down. "I'm a giraffe, of course. I eat leaves for breakfast." The wide-mouthed frog said, "Well, I'm a wide-mouthed frog. I eat flies for breakfast. Good day." And off he hopped. Next he saw the elephant, so he asked, "Who are you, and what do you eat for breakfast?" The elephant replied, "I'm an elephant, of course. I eat plants for breakfast." "Oh," said the wide-mouthed frog, "that's nice. I'm a wide-mouthed frog. I eat flies for breakfast. Good day." And off he hopped. Next he came across a crocodile. He asked, "Who are you, and what do you eat for breakfast?" The crocodile answered, "I'm a crocodile, of course, and I eat wide-mouthed frogs for breakfast. Have you seen any this morning?" The wide-mouthed frog replied quickly, "Oh, how nice! You don't see many of those round here, do you?"